Hey A&Pers, this is Dr. Jones. We are continuing our 2402 Lab 3 videos. Is this our third video? I think this is our fourth video. I think it's video 4. Okay, so I'm at what for me in my book is the top of page 24 with the mannequin, and it asks for the pharynx. The pharynx we've already covered is the whole region between the internal nares to the top of the esophagus. So from here to here is all pharynx, 3 regions, nasopharynx behind the 2 nasal cavities, oropharynx behind the oral cavity, laryngopharynx behind the larynx. And then wait till I get back so that you can hear me. The esophageal hiatus, you can actually see really well on this model. The esophageal hiatus is where the esophagus punctures through the diaphragm. So if you were to have a hiatal hernia, it would be part of the stomach pushing up into the thoracic body cavity and causing pressure and other issues. And since I have this in front of me, and we haven't quite said it yet, this area right here that's outlined in the pink is on this model the hilum. You can see all the plumbing, the blue pulmonary arteries, the red pulmonary veins, the bronchi, and you can see the edge of the pleura here. So this region in brown outlined by light blue is your hilum. Now hilum and hilus are the same term and they are used interchangeably. Okay, so let's talk about the stomach. So we have here the whole kind of digestive system in one piece. We've got the liver, the stomach, small intestine, large intestine. So let's start with the stomach. This is the lesser curvature. This is where you would find, remember that little bitty loop that was a gastric artery and vein? This is where they live, right here in the lesser curvature of the stomach. And the big curve around is the greater curvature. And then from the greater curvature comes down and then attaches to the large intestine is this right here, and this is called the greater omentum. And it's like an apron, and it's a storage for fats. Okay, there are different regions on the stomach. So this region, this is where the esophagus comes into the stomach. This region around the esophagus is the cardia or cardiac region. Cardiac. Okay, this top rounded portion is the fundus, and we'll have the term fundus again. It'll be the top rounded portion of the uterus. The body is the majority of the stomach, and the tail down here is the pylorus. So in the pylorus is the pyloric, at the end of the pylorus is the pyloric sphincter, and that's the muscle, smooth muscle, that keeps the food in your stomach. And then when you eat, that relaxes, and the food that was in your stomach, we'll learn the terms for those things later, will move into your small intestine so that you'll have room in your stomach for the food you're eating. Okay, these folds inside the stomach are called rugae. Pyloric sphincter, okay. And the entire line of the digestive tract has 2 layers of smooth muscle, except the stomach. The stomach has a bonus 3rd layer. So the outer layer is a longitudinal layer. So there's an outer longitudinal layer, and you can see how these are nice long fibers. And then there's an inner circular layer, and you can see how these would run in a circle around the stomach. Now, because the stomach's job is to churn your food, it has a 3rd bonus inmost layer called the oblique layer, and that runs diagonally. So an outer longitudinal and inner circular, stomach only, has a bonus 3rd inmost oblique layer. Okay, I'm gonna skip the wall models and do just the macro models quickly. So here is the small intestine, and you can see where the stomach feeds into the small intestine. I'll get my stomach together one-handed. There we go. Okay, so it starts with the esophagus, stomach, and then the small intestine. So this first portion of the stomach is the duodenum or duodenum. It's the first roughly 10 inches, and it runs around the head of the pancreas. This is your pancreas. So the duodenum or duodenum, and that's where the majority of your food is digested. The jejunum is the next bit. It's about 12 feet. The ileum is the last 8 feet. It's kind of hard to tell which are which, but this is definitely duodenum, and this last little bit here is definitely ileum. So let's have a conversation real quick about ileum. Oh, y'all can't see that. Okay, I'm gonna zoom in. You with me? All right, there we go. Ileum with an I is a bone. Ileum, miss the U. Second, I'll fix it. Ileum with an E is part of the small intestine. So this is soft, hard tissue with an I and soft tissue with an E. So if you were to write, say, sacroiliac joint, you would write ILIAC because you're talking about that bone. But if you were talking about the ileocecal valve, which is, I can't spell and talk at the same time. There we go. The ileocecal valve with an E is part of the soft tissue, and we'll find the ileocecal valve on the model in just a second. Okay, so this for sure is the ileum, that last little bit. And then this white oval right here, kind of a teardrop shape, is your ileocecal valve. I'm gonna zoom back out. And then these folds, you see them better here. These folds in the small intestine, those are your plicae. The plicae are the folds. And that's for surface area for absorption. Okay, so let's talk about the liver. I'm at Lab Activity 5, bottom of page 25 for me, where it says liver and gallbladder. So this is a liver. The falciform ligament is this white line on the front. I'm gonna have to turn a page here. The round ligament is this white, thicker, but if you see that cross section, it is kind of round. Round ligament on the back. And we have lobes. The little lobe is the left lobe. The big lobe is the right lobe. There are two more lobes. This blue tube here is your inferior vena cava right before it goes through the diaphragm. Next to the inferior vena cava, the IVC, is the caudate lobe, because it's caudal, it's on the back. And then this one with almost 4 kind of square sides is the quadrate lobe, because quad means 4. This green thing, of course, is your gallbladder. And, all right, I'm gonna turn this. So remember we said the little lobe is the left lobe and the big lobe is the right lobe. So you see these two? These are the hepatic ducts. The one towards the little lobe is the left and the one towards the big lobe is the right. In fact, the one closer to the gallbladder is always going to be the right hepatic duct. And again, when we say ducts here, we're saying D-U-C-T-S, not D-U-C-K-S, right? Tubes, not waterfowl, it's human anatomy. So they come together to make the common hepatic duct, and then the cystic duct goes up into the gallbladder. So what happens is the liver makes the bile, and it goes through these hepatic ducts. Hepatic means liver, left and right hepatic duct, common hepatic duct, up the cystic duct, where the bile salts are stored and concentrated in the gallbladder. And then when you eat fatty foods and the fatty foods hit your small intestine, specifically the duodenum, that releases cholecystokinin, CCK, which makes the walls of the gallbladder squeeze, and that squeezes the bile out of the cystic duct into the common bile duct. And we'll find this common bile duct on some other models again here in a minute. So now let's talk about the pancreas. This is the head of the pancreas. The duodenum wraps around the head of the pancreas. This is the tail. Okay, let me get a prettier pancreas model, just a second. Okay, so orientation. This is spleen. You've got the left and right kidneys. You've got adrenal glands. And then here's the duodenum. Here are your plicae. And then this is the pancreas. So this is the head of the pancreas, which the duodenum wraps around, then the body of the pancreas, and then the skinny part at the end is the tail. The pancreatic duct starts here and goes down. So it starts here and then goes down. And this is the accessory pancreatic duct. Only 10% of the population has the accessory pancreatic duct, but all the models have it. The accessory duct, or I'm sorry, this is the accessory duct. It comes out at the minor duodenal papilla. The pancreatic duct joins with the common bile duct. So where did that common bile duct come from? So before this was broken, this sat right here. So this liver-colored stuff is the liver. This, of course, is the gallbladder. So we said the one next to the gallbladder is always going to be the right hepatic duct. So that makes this one the left hepatic duct. They come together to make the common hepatic duct. The bile goes up the cystic duct to be stored and concentrated in the gallbladder. Then when you eat fatty foods, when the fat hits this small intestine, it releases a hormone called CCK, cholecystokinin, which will cause this gallbladder, the smooth muscle in the wall of the gallbladder, to squeeze the bile out the cystic duct, out the common bile duct, which you can see back here, and then we pick up the common bile duct, meets with the pancreatic duct, and then is released into the small intestine right here at the major duodenal papilla. So this is the major duodenal papilla. On any of the models, you can tell the major duodenal papilla because it'll have both the pancreatic duct and the common bile duct. The minor duodenal papilla only has the accessory pancreatic duct. The large intestine, we start with the ileocecal valve, where the food goes from the small intestine to the large intestine. Right here where the small intestine meets the large intestine is where you find the appendix. The appendix, they think it does have some immune function, but other than that, it's a vestigial, like second stomach for back when people used to eat things that didn't digest, like say popcorn kernels. So this first part of the large intestine is the cecum, and then these kind of pouches on the large intestine are called haustra. And then the stripe down the middle is the taenia coli. And the taenia coli is what's left of the long longitudinal muscle. Okay, that's next page for me, 27. So we've got the ascending colon goes up, transverse colon goes across, descending colon, sigmoid colon is S-shaped, and then rectum and anus. And I'm not sure where the models are with the anal sphincters. So that is the macro part of the digestive system. I will start another video for the microanatomy of the digestive system. The education must go on. Dr. J out.